Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture. My name is Queen and I'm from Vietnam. I have been living in Japan for 5 years doing my PhD and I really love the country. However, my PhD study related to Sri Lanka and it means I have been visited the country for several times. So it's very interesting study with my professor. So I received my PhD in March 22nd, and currently I'm a researcher in a cooperative major in Human Center Engineering at Onsite University. And from May of this year, I will work as a lecturer researcher in Faculty of Environment, Vietnam National University in my home city, Ho Chi Minh City. Okay, so before watching the slide of my lecture, you can pause here for 30 seconds and think about these questions. What your wastewater can tell about you. Okay, because my talk today relates to the trace compound is created from your body. So let's have a think about that. Sound fun? Okay, let's get started. So the title of today's lecture is Hygiene Risk from Groundwater to Groundwater from On-Site Sanitation System and how we evaluate the water safety. So I will provide you an inside look on the wastewater treatment and water quality analysis. The outline of this presentation is like this. So firstly, I will have an introduction to make sure that you can follow the content very slowly. I will introduce about the on-site sanitation system and the potential contaminants to groundwater. Next is the traditional water safety parameters and the drawbacks. Then I will introduce the pharmaceuticals active compounds in wastewater. The next is the case study in Sri Lanka, as I told you. And lastly is the conclusion. So firstly, the on-site sanitation system. I will call it OSS, has the abbreviation. So universal, affordable, and sustainable access to water, sanitation, and hygiene is the key element of the public health issue. And the on-site sanitation system or the decentralized sanitation is dominant compared to the sewage treatment plant, especially in low and middle income countries. But OSS vary in type, cost, operation, as well as the removal efficiency. So I will show you some example of the OSS. Firstly is the conventional septic system. This is the system used in the US. So it should consist of a tank and a transit field. And it requires a large space for soil purification, as you might see. So the filtration basin needs the very large space. However, in my country, in Vietnam, so mostly the septic tank is included inside the house. It is built under the house when it was first constructed. And the combined sewage overflows is a major type of wastewater collection. Means less than 20% of the collected wastewater is treated in the sewage treatment plant. And the other part will be discharged to the nearby river or streams. So the domestic sewage are collected with rainwater and discharged directly to nearby water bodies. And next is this is the things in Japanese people are using. This is called the jogaso. Maybe you have heard about that. So this one is a very advanced system, and this is like a real sewage treatment plant inside in the household scale. And it also include like aerobic filter tank and anaerobic filter tank for also disinfection tank. However, that is only in the situation of Japan, of course. And the fact is that the most common OSS in the other parts of the world is still the very simple pit latrine, as you might see in the picture. So worldwide, 3.6 billion people lack of safely managed service, and more than around 700 million cases of the open defecation is still happen all over the world. So that you might see that is from the very advanced OSS system to the very simple OSS system, from the very last space in the US or in Vietnam is very limited inside the house. So it's very various. So what is the potential contaminants from the OSS? So as the OSS efficiency in the low-income country, as I told you, you might see on the picture in the previous slide, it depends largely on the soil sorption and filtration. So the contaminants associated with the fecal waste, like fecal bacteria, virus, or organic compounds, is included in the wastewater. However, the study and the emerging contaminants may persist in the unsaturated zone and further transport to the groundwater, which might threat the safety of the groundwater resource. So the research question is, how do we determine the effect of the OSS to groundwater? Because the OSS mostly is underground, so we cannot tell, or it's not very easy to tell that, okay, it has some leak or some effect to the groundwater. It is not easy to see or easy to determine. So how do we evaluate the water safety? So the answer is that now we are using some traditional water safety parameters, such as the electrolyte and coliform, and or nitrate and chloride, because these parameters associated with the fecal waste. It means that in the fecal, in feces or the urine is include these kinds of things. So people use it as the parameter. And the other reason is that it also have some health effect. So that's why the WHO using this parameter as the most universal water safety. However, they all have the drawbacks. I will explain one by one. So for E. coli and total coliform, because it is the microbiome parameter, so it varies greatly in short periods, and exposed occur before the contamination is detected. So it's also derived from animal waste, so sometimes it will confuse the origin from human. For the nitrate, for the concentration of less than 50 milligram per liter is regulated by the WHO. And for people expected that if the concentration is larger than 100, it is the evidence of human fecal import. However, same as the E. coli or coliform, nitrate also derived from numerous potential sources like the plant, animal, also garbage or livestock waste and fertilizers. So, and also nitrate can be formed and lost through the natural soil processes. For chloride, even though chloride didn't show the serious health effect, but it will affect the taste of the water. And chloride is typically transported with minimal retention during the groundwater flow, and the concentration is very correlated with nitrate levels. So the study objectives of my study is the application of the new innovative wastewater markers to track the import of the domestic wastewater from the OSS. And here I aim to use the wastewater pharmaceuticals. So in next slide, I will introduce you about the pharmaceuticals in water. So firstly, pharmaceutical active compounds is the terms I will use. So let's have a look at the voucher story. So this kinds of animal, the 3 voucher species, the number of the species reduced to near extinction in India, and according to one report in 2000 year. And also the first poisoning case in European voucher was recently reported. So how the paper here showing that the voucher extinction is related to the poisonous by the diclofenac. Diclofenac is also one pharmaceutical compound. So how diclofenac enter the voucher species food chain? So the answer is very surprising. Like the carcasses of the cattle treated with veterinary diclofenac. So the voucher is the animal who eat the dead body of the animal, so of the cattle. So the cattle, after they are treated with the diclofenac, so in their body is still included some pharmaceutical. So that's why when the voucher eat the dead cattle, they are poisoned, and that caused the extinction of the species. So similarly, we also found the pharmaceutical in aquatic environment, and the table on the right hand showing the 16 pharmaceutical that are most ubiquitous in the water environment. So diclofenac, as you might see, is the number 1 substances that are detected in like 100% of the countries in the study. The other compounds, the group that is very frequent detected is the analgesics and estrogen, also the antibiotics. Yeah. So the concentration of the pharmaceutical in water is frequently detected at the very low concentration, means from nanogram per liter to microgram per liter. And the 3 groups, as I've been showing in the table, the painkiller, antibiotics, and estrogen is the very popular pharmaceutical detected in the water environment. So the same questions like for pharmaceutical might enter and poison the voucher. So how about a human? So as you might see in the picture, like after we take some medicine, so the medicine will have some effect in our body, but after that it will be excreted by our body metabolism, and it will be excreted through the urine or the feces. So basically, the pharmaceutical compounds have some pathway after we are using, like will end up in the wastewater treatment plant or the on-site sanitation system in the low-income country, and after that it will go to the surface water or the groundwater, or in case of on-site sanitation system, it might remain in the unsaturated zone or soil, and finally it might be uptaken by the crop from the soil or go to the drinking water if people are using the groundwater that are infected or the surface water that is not proper treated. So the next question is there any potential risk to human health? So human health risk of trace concentration, very lucky that at this low concentration, they are extremely unlikely, like no harm to the human. But my idea is to use the pharmaceutical to help the water management. So why wastewater pharmaceutical can be used as the water quality indicators? So the first reason is that it is very frequently used. The graph showing the global spending on medicine is expected to grow very fast in the next 5 years. And as you might see, Japan is also at the third place, spending 6% of the world drug market. And the largest percentage of the type of the disease of the medicine is the communicable medicine or other disease for cancer or diabetes. This is very popular disease all over the world. So the second reason is that it's very specific to human and animal. For example, only human drink coffee and only human use tobacco. So it might derive it from the domestic wastewater. So the occurrence of those compounds in the water may indicate the anthropogenic origin. The other example is the veterinary medicines is also the source of the pharmaceutical in water. For example, like antibiotic. So like 65% is for the antibiotic use all over the world is for the animal, and 35% is for human. However, the type of the antibiotic is different, so we might separate it like which is for human, which is for animal. If we can find it in the water, we can predict it, what is the origin of the antibiotic. That is one example. So the third reason why we can use the wastewater pharmaceutical as the indicator is that there's the availability of persistent and also the label markers. Persistent marker means it can resist the biodegradation in the environment. So we can use it to consider the transportation of pollutants over the large distance. On the other hand, the label markers can indicate the raw sewage pollution, very fresh sewage pollution. So that is for the introduction. So in the next part of the presentation, I will show you the case study in Sri Lanka. So firstly, this is my research site. Sri Lanka is a lower middle country, middle income country in South Asia. And my study site is the Gong city in the southern province. This is one of the largest cities in the country with a very fast urbanization. So we did some preliminary questionnaire survey in the site before we started the sampling. The domestic wastewater treatment facility in the Gong city is mostly the pit latrine. Although there's no sewerage at the site, and that's why the simple pit latrine is the most common. The kitchen, laundry, bathroom wastewater are directly discharged to the drainage canal in the city canal. So we did the screening in the surface wastewater to see that if there is the pharmaceutical in the surface water. The sampling site included the Hikkaduwa sewage treatment plant, the one hospital wastewater treatment plant, and the other drainage network, including 3 canal, Moda and Moragoda canals. So I collected the water from the, this is the picture that I collected the water from the canal. Like 50% of the water sample was collected and duplicated each side. We acidify it to pH true using XCl, and it is frozen and shipped to Japan. For the sample pretreatment and analysis, we are using the membrane, the only filter membrane, and transfer to the amber vial. Then I spy with the internal standard and direct inject to the HPLC-MS. I will introduce about the HPLC-MS in the next slide. So for the screening, we were able to select 8 target compounds. It includes several subgroups, like the acesulfame is the artificial sweetener, acetaminophen is the painkiller, atenolone is the beta blocker, which is used for the heart disease. Caffeine is in beverage. This is a stimulant. Carbamazepine is the neuroactive drugs. Cotinine is the tobacco metabolite, and the other two is the antibiotic groups. So the reason for selecting the compounds is it should be detected at high concentration in the sewage treatment plant. And according to the literature review, what is the most popular pharmaceutical in surface water, and also we try to include the different categories of pharmaceuticals, and also we need to consider the adaptation of available analysis methodology. So for the result and discussion, we try to figure out the removal efficiency of the pharmaceutical using the data from the sewage treatment plant. So for Hikaduwa wastewater treatment, we collected influent and effluent. And after that, we calculated the removal efficiency using this equation. So for the removal efficiency larger than 90%, we will consider the marker as label. Less than 25%, we will consider it as conservative, like persistent. So we should note that the Hikaduwa sewage treatment plant is a very simple wastewater treatment plant. It included of true facultative ponds and a polishing ponds to achieve the retention time of 3 to 4 days before discharging treated water into the natural lake. So there is no further chemical or technology used in this sewage treatment plant. So we found it out that the label markers in the 8 compounds is acetaminophen and caffeine, and the conservative marker is the carbamazepine. The other compounds, although the previous report showing the high removal efficiency, but in this case, in the Hikaduwa sewage treatment plant, the removal efficiency is very low. So you might see in the next slide. So this slide showing the removal efficiency of 90%, and the red line is the removal efficiency of 20%. So as I said, acetaminophen and caffeine is almost removed, but the other compounds is like lower than 20, and some even have the negative removal efficiency. So the question for you is, how can the removal efficiency can be less than 0? It means after treatment, is increased compared to the influent. Okay, so you also see the answer I show in the slide. So the conversion from conjugated metabolite parent compounds is one reason. The second reason is the retardation of persistent compound onto the sludge. And the third reason is related to the limitation during the research, because we collect the sample in one day, in same day. So we didn't consider the hydraulic retention time. So we might conclude that the treatment process in Hitostubashi sewage treatment plant are not sufficient to remove pharmaceutical in the sewage raw water. So it means that after the sewage treatment plant, the water is discharged to the natural water in the lake or the river. It still consists of the large amount of pharmaceutical. So this is showing the site of the sampling site. So there are some sites which are in the center of the city. The concentration of the pharmaceutical is increasing compared to the other side in further from the center. So the occurrence of pharmaceuticals in surface water is the evidence. It's a very clear evidence that the OSS is not very efficient. And also the canal, when we see there is the pharmaceutical in the canal water, we can expect that the wastewater is discharged from the households. It also polluted the canal surface water. So acetaminophen, caffeine, and carbamazepine is appropriate to track the human wastewater in surface water. So the next question. So the potential impact of the OSS to the groundwater resource. So how is the impact? So from until now, we see that there is the pollution in the surface water, but how is the groundwater? This is underground. And is it the same marker for groundwater matrix and surface water? So that's why we are going to the next part of the study. We are analyzing the groundwater quality. Okay. So next, when we were trying to did the similar research in the groundwater. So the study site, we selected one village, also in Gwon district, but it's far from the Gwon city. It's this is the rural area with 63 households and the population of 240 people. More than 90% of the houses using the private pit latrine and no industrial activities and hospital within 10 kilometers. That's why we think that this is the ideal site to investigate the impact of only OSS to the groundwater. The groundwater resource in the site is the laterite aquifer, the sandy and the unsaturated zone, means it is more vulnerable to the contaminant. And the water level is quite shallow, from 0.2 to 7.6 meter. The shallow aquifer, however, this aquifer is used for drinking water because there is no supply water in the area. The picture is the photo of the house owner and the Sri Lankan student who helped us to collect the samples. Okay, so this is the groundwater sampling map. As you might see, the yellow draw is the sampling site, mean the well, and the black dot is the OSS we were measuring the distance between the well and the OSS, as also we see that the average distance from the OSS to the closest wells is like 18 meters, and one well might be surrounded by several OSS or pit latrine. And this is the high risk of the contamination. The national setback distance, mean the regulation distance of the Sri Lanka, is 18 meter. It is much smaller than the regulation in other country, which is more than 30 meter. We need to concern about the contour. Also, the color of the contour here means this is in the high slope, and that's why the flow direction of the groundwater is from the south to the north. Yeah. We also did one questionnaire survey about medical use of member family. Okay. So next, the groundwater was collected at 31 private wells and 1 public wells in the monsoon season of 2019. And 1 liter of well water collected in polypropylene bags, and then we store and transport it to the laboratory where we do the further analysis and pre-treatment in the same day. The table also showing the parameters, the other parameters that we measure at the site. For the sample pre-treatment and analysis, because the concentration in groundwater, we expected that the concentration is lower than surface water. So we need to use one technique named solid phase extraction to clean up and enrich the concentration. The photo on the left showing the manifold system that I use for the extraction, SB extraction on the cartridge. And the instrument for analysis is the HPLC-MS. This is also the picture for the HPLC of Hygiene and the AB-SCIEC Q-Track. The methodology was following the US EPA recognized methodology. Okay, next, let's go to the result and discussion. So after measuring the water parameter, we try to see that is there any like indication or meaning from the traditional water safety parameter. So firstly is the total coliform in E. coli. So 60% of the sample infected with E. coli and most wells detected with total coliform. And significantly higher E. coli was detected in uncovered wells. This indicating the external factors contributing to fecal contamination, so that the results do not reflect the OSS import solely. For nitrate and chloride, the trend is very weird because it shows a decreasing trend with respect to the distance. So basically, we couldn't see the meaningful prediction for the OSS import. So that's let's go to the occurrence of pharmaceutical in groundwater. So as you might see, carbamazepine, caffeine, and sulfamethoxazole are detected in like 90, 68%, and 11% of the samples. So caffeine and carbamazepine may enter the shallow aquifer and travel over the aquifer. And also we found the moderate correlation between the fecal bacteria and caffeine and nitrate and carbamazepine. And this is the evidence of the specificity of the pharmaceutical wastewater marker in the groundwater. Let's have a inside look of this sampling map. So as I said, we did a separated survey regarding the medical use at the own of the households in the study site. And what we found is very interesting about carbamazepine. Carbamazepine is an anticonvulsant drug, and it's also approved for treatment of diabetic. And we see that the well of 30 and well number 1, the owner of those well reported the long-term use of diabetic medicine of the family member, and it's very coincident that the sample from well 30 and well number 1 is also detected with carbamazepine. For sulfamethoxazole, this is one of the most prescribed antibiotic globally, and the owner of well number 2, number 3, and number 26 reported the long-term antiviral drug use. So we hypothesize that this related to the highest sulfamethoxazole residues detected in well number 10. Because the contour showing the direction flow of the groundwater is from like the north to the south or to the northeast. So it's very likely that the contaminant from the pit latrine of those well of those house can move to the inside the groundwater and go to the well number 10. Okay. So for conclusion, the traditional water parameter, for example, fecal bacteria, nitrate, and chloride is not sufficient to determine the import of the OSS, and the occurrence of pharmaceuticals in groundwater indicated the inefficient removal process of the pit latrine. Wastewater pharmaceuticals directly indicated the import of human wastewater to groundwater and could be used as a robust tool for water monitoring. Some take-home message. Wastewater organic compounds, include pharmaceuticals, can be a tool for water safety monitoring. Wastewater is also a valuable source of information for public health, drug use, community consumption habit. And just because you can see something doesn't mean it isn't there. So make sure that you remember this point. And that's why we should stop 3 seconds to think before we dispose our unused or expired medicine. Some reference. So that is the end of my lecture. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any question, please kindly let me know. Thank you for your listening.